What popular rumor in your school turned out to be true? In high school, that the biology teacher was growing weed in the environmental lab. Supposedly, he did it for 30 years without anyone noticing. No one could ever prove it though. Later on, I was assigned to be the agent taking care of some of his financial matters, so I went to his house to have him sign some paperwork. He had a hydroponic setup there, so I asked him about the environmental lab. It was like Han Solo in The Force Awakens. It's true. All of it. Then he offered me a brownie. Original poster replies. Then he offered me a brownie. Did you accept it? Doing weed with him? Hell yes. I had to see what 30 years of weed growing expertise got him. And it's the one experience in my life that I brag to all my friends about. I did weed with Dr. Redacted. It was delicious, and I got really high, and he told me some stories about my aunt that I'd just as soon forget. She was one of his favorites. He was never inappropriate with her, but she was a total hippie and his best customer. That one of the students was actually a cop. Turns out he was a cop and busted one of the actual students for selling handguns in school. If you thought 21 Jump Street was unrealistic, think again. Cop was a 33-year-old male and undercover for like half the semester. In my Catholic, Jesuit, high school, one of the priests and one of the nuns were very close friends. We all loved them, and we could see that they were quite fond of one another, and they made a really nice-looking couple. We used to affectionately kid them about meeting in the tunnel between the convent and the rectory. A few years after my class graduated, they both left their orders, got married, and had kids. We're all happy for them. That's actually really sweet. So much better than 99% of this thread. Our freshman science teacher was a massive jerk to any girl, and would frequently throw the dress code book at girls for the slightest issue. Everyone said it was because he was pissed his daughter became a stripper. That ended up being true. In middle school, we had a cool social studies teacher. He loved the popular boys, especially the athletes, and not only ignored bullying in his classes of unpopular kids, he often took part in it. He also offered up his services for tutoring to these boys. Everyone always thought he was a child molester, except the popular boys who would threaten you if they heard you talk bad about him. When we came back to school at the beginning of 8th grade, he was gone. As was one of the more popular boys in school. He transferred to an insanely expensive private school. Turns out, sure enough, he was molested by the teacher several times during tutoring sessions at the teacher's house. The school district agreed to pay to send the kid to private school as part of a settlement. Original poster replies. Oof, that's going to affect the kid hard. Hope the kid is okay. It was a really long time ago, back in the 80s. It was funny because nobody saw or heard from him for years, then out of nowhere he showed up at our senior prom as the date of the girl that was his elementary school girlfriend. He seemed fine, but who knows what kind of life he's had since then. Some girl had sex with her half-brother. We all thought it was rumor until she got drunk at a party and told everyone. Same in my school, but they were actually brothers. Girl I was in classes with all through elementary school and into junior high. We were in the gifted class, so we always had the same classmates, seemed oddly close to her brother. In 9th grade, she hid a pregnancy from everyone including her parents until the birth. She delivered the baby at home, and she and the brother killed the newborn and threw it into a dumpster. The baby was his. She only served 3 years, and was released at 18. Girl I grew up with was pretty shy but very sweet and gentle. She had very religious parents. After high school, she got pregnant but hid it all while still living with them. She ended up having twins at home and must have had a mental breakdown. She either drowned or suffocated them both. She pleaded insanity, but it wasn't accepted and she was sentenced to life in prison. I think she must have lost her mind temporarily because she really was such a sweet person. I went to church and Christian school with her, and her parents were probably the most conservative Christians at either. I'm sure that played into it. Maybe she thought that her entire family and social structure would disown her if they found out she got pregnant out of wedlock. Tragic all around. Oof. A girl in my high school started dating a guy freshman year, Both her mom and his dad were recently divorced, so when they met because of their kids dating, they hit it off with each other big time. The parents got married about a year later and they all four plus any siblings lived together after that. It was real awkward because the classmates broke up my junior year but lived in the same house and basically fought like siblings regularly after the breakup. Kind of wonder how they're doing now, lol. I had a science teacher that was rumored to get a boner whenever he started shouting. We thought it was a myth until we noticed it for real. He would always try put one leg up on a chair to hide it. That a science teacher used to be a stripper. A 10, a effing 10. The new teacher was rumored to be a pedophile. We found out it was true when he got arrested just a couple days into the second semester. How did the rumors even start? Not original poster, but I found out 2 of my teachers were pedos. One was obvious. He would go over to girls' desks and stand behind them so he'd get a great view of their cleavage work. He was fired for dating his student. They got married when she turned 18. Never knew what happened with them. And I found out about the other. She was one of the school's gym teacher, and was hooking up with a friend of a friend's sister. They got away with it, as far as I know. See, I'm a teacher and I hate standing behind a student. I'm constantly told by those over me that I should do because it makes the students nervous and keeps them on their toes, but personally I feel like a creepy butthole doing it and would rather have my students at ease in my classroom rather than constantly on edge. Edit. Since this post picked up more attention than I ever dreamed, I just want to add something. Students out there, cut your teachers some slack this past year. Yeah, some are creeps or buttholes, but those are few and far between. Most of us are humans and parents and dealing with this new way of doing things just like you are. When administration makes decisions, believe me, we are on your side, not theirs. Teachers out there, cut your students some slack. There is a reason they are turning off cameras or pointing them at the ceiling. This year for many has been one big long Groundhog Day. They aren't trying to be disrespectful or dismissive, that's them coping. We had something similar to this happen at my middle school. We heard rumors for a while that the shop teacher was propositioning female students. Turns out, a couple years after I left, I guess some female student's dad heard about it too, because he came to school and beat the living crap out of the teacher. The teacher got arrested a few days later. Ah, the 80s, grimacing face. Paige was pregnant, none of us believed her. We were 13 and we were just about to start sex ed classes in a few weeks to learn about sex, so we all thought she was making it up. Then she started to gain weight, but she had always been kind of overweight and so no one really believed her then either. Then she brought sonogram pictures in because she was sick of people not believing her. Most people believed her after that. Then she got taken out of school, and this was back when FB was super popular and everyone was talking about her baby. A few months later she had posted all these pictures. Sorry I didn't believe you, Paige. I looked her back up when I was 15. She had a second kid. Reminds of the first day of health class my freshman year. The teacher said, "Jane Doe, is Jane Doe here?" A classmate said out loud, "Yeah, she had a baby yesterday." The teacher went, "Okay. You could have said that privately." Everyone knew she was a 14-year-old teen mom when she came back to class. She later dropped out sophomore year. The F. 2 of the science teachers do shrooms together. Found out cause one of their sons was a student. Edit. Apparently, this happens a lot. This was in NorCal. Lamau, they're just collaborating with their curriculums. I feel like that's just a science teacher thing to do. My previous chemistry professor was definitely into psychedelics, and my current chemistry professor is widely suspected of being a cocaine fan. There's a psych professor here who is strongly rumored to take shrooms and a lot of other drugs. As soon as recreational marijuana became legal here, he openly proclaimed its benefits to anyone going to office hours. In reality, it's a bit annoying because you generally go to office hours for a question, and then you have to politely listen to the NTH rant about marijuana. Yes, Stephen, we get it, you like the kush. Can we have your lesson plans for the next term now, please? Christ, literally no one cares. The band director was grooming and seducing his favorite female percussionists. Edit. Apparently this is something of a common occurrence. Anywho, He finally got caught with one of the girls in his car late at night. I was being a father figure, mentor, yada yada yada. Everyone knew the real story. He lost his job and personally I've never heard about him since. Happened with a photography teacher at my school, super creepy from what I heard. He got fired but my friend was in his class. Had a wall of his favorite newly 18 senior girls. He would do weird crap like bring a bag of Hershey Kisses to school, then hand them out to just the pretty girls and go here's a kiss and then get super up in their faces and make kissing noises. I believe it's the same dude who would smoke weed with students after school hours at the park. A girl in my econ class lost her dad but a rumor started going around that he didn't die, he was arrested as a serial killer. Turned out to be true and was featured a few years ago on Evil Lives Here show. Which episode? Her dad was Anthony Allen Shore. We weren't super close friends, so I never really talked to her. But I was really sad to find out, via the show, that he was so abusive to her and her sister. She seemed really normal, like nothing crazy was happening. Crap, I can definitely understand her just telling people he died rather than having the whole school know about what he did. As someone who had an abusive father in my life near the beginning, that's exactly what I did. And it felt okay, because in my mind he was dead, to me and my mum that is. As an adult I do speak more honestly about it now, explain he's a vagina and went to prison etc. etc. But as a kid yeah, just saying that he died was the easiest option because no one would really press on it. Rumor was the junior high English teacher was a bit of a pervert. Most of our parents would say hey, stop joking about that. Turned out he was. About 10 years ago, he was arrested, charged and convicted on child porn charges. Edit, for all the people asking, because I can't answer each one individually, he wasn't discovered and charged until after he'd been teaching for years. Almost a decade after I graduated from high school, there was a complaint he'd been selling weed in exchange for, and finally one of the parents got wind. Police raided his place, found weed and tapes and other things. He was put in jail and of course lost his job. Got stabbed by one of his prior victims, so there's some justice. Small towns, eh? Edit 2. I get that people are upset about background checks, but this was in the late 70s, early 80s, so, let's face it, background checks were mostly calling references and previous jobs. It was simpler, stupider time. Bit of a pervert seems slightly understated. There was a rumor going around in my high school that an English teacher and a biology teacher were sleeping with each other. I thought it didn't make any sense at all, other than being strict teachers who graded harshly. It's not like they had anything in common and I'd never even seen them talking to each other or interacting in any way. They were both married and besides, she was youngish and attractive and he was not. I had always figured that someone who managed to flunk both classes at the same time just decided to start a rumor. My brother is 6 years younger than me and during his time at the school, they both were fired suddenly in the middle of the school year. Turns out it was true all along, they had been caught fraternizing on school grounds. I was pretty surprised. Of all the weird rumors that go around in a typical school, that was the one that had to be true. How did the students find out? He saw the teachers making babies in the closet and they saw one of the babies and the baby looked at him. That's some good seeing, Ralphie. In middle school, there was a rumor my 7th-8th grade social studies teacher owned a pet donkey. Turned out to be true. The donkey's name was Pedro the donkey. I'm so glad there are some wholesome content after 99% comments of teachers students effing. He was cool. All my teachers were great. One teacher had me moved into the advanced class. In said class, he took me in my second day of class at 6:30 a.m. to help me cram for an exam on the European countries on a map. I was able to get a 115% due to knowing capitals. He Teacher of the Year that year. Best teacher I ever had. I still have all of Europe memorized on the map. Forget Asia or Africa though. For some reason, I can point out 75% of South America though. We had heard an underclassman, she was 15-ish, was sleeping with a local army guy, but nobody really believed it until the day our school got locked down because her boyfriend showed up with a knife. The boyfriend, in his 30s, was intending to force her go get an abortion, but our principal was a badass who locked her in his office, then took the boyfriend down and held him in a headlock until the cops arrived. Edit. This absolutely was a case of statutory rape. I use the term boyfriend because that's how she still refers to him, and I didn't think about changing it. My bad. I apologize if I angered anyone. That's a very badass principal indeed. He was great. He would do the whole "we're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz" dance just BC. He felt whimsical. At the same time, he'd be there if you needed help regardless of the reason. Is this how he distracted Knifey Army Man before taking him down? Edit. 3 awards? 3? You lovely people. My middle school math teacher, married man, was having an affair with one of the special education teachers. Went on for years. After I graduated high school, he killed himself when the other woman gave him an ultimatum. Confirmed by a family member that worked as a substitute teacher. Coincidentally, said family member also had an affair with another employee there that resulted in that employee shooting herself in front of my mother. What a roller coaster of events. Why in front of your mother? Because the boss that cheated was her husband. Edit. Is her husband, 12 years later. WTF. Is there something in your town's water or nah? This was a rumor that went around my elementary school. Basically, my school had a lockdown but they didn't tell us what it was for. One kid came in the next day and told us that his sister said it was a cow in the field in between the high school and middle school. So my second grade class went and told everyone else in the school. The next day we had an assembly that confirmed this rumor. Original poster replies. Haha, this one's kind of funny. Hopefully the cow got taken off the field safely. That this hot chick at my school was banging 2 army recruiters. Found out it was true when they were on the news being arrested. One of them ran to I think Michigan with his wife and kids. Imagine trying to explain to your wife that you need to uproot everything including your kids and flee to another state because you effed a high schooler. I know someone who did almost exactly that same thing. Husband got caught flashing his penis to a minor. The whole family quickly moved states away to avoid him going to jail. He got arrested anyway. They divorced when he got out of prison. Then she remarried him years later. They got divorced for second time after that. Why are people like this? Apparently, he'd had a fetish for flashing unsuspecting and non-consenting girls/women since he was a teenager. This time had serious repercussions because he was an adult and the person he flashed was a teenager. It's crazy and he's terrible. Of course, I place most of the blame on him, but I can't believe she married that man twice. The band teacher was having a long-term affair with one of the students. We were in 8th grade. Her parents apparently knew about it all along and were fine with it, but one of the other band parents noticed inappropriate behavior when she was helping chaperone a Disney trip they were all on. It was big news lol. Original poster replies. Why are the parents okay with it? Why? What happened to the teacher afterwards? Oh, he was in huge trouble. It was all over the news. I'm not sure what he ended up being charged with, but it was a major scandal. I seem to remember that the parents were weird, obviously, and really liked him and I guess thought they were going to get married or something. I can't even comprehend lol. Either the band teacher was a very talented manipulator or the girl's parents were an incredible level of stupid. In fact, probably both. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.